Intrigue Media. Get noticed, get found. All right, sweet. So today we're going to talk about emotional situations and like managing tough conversations. And so it's not every day that we have to do this, which is great, but sometimes we, get emotionally involved. Maybe we're frustrated, we're disappointed, we're angry, we're sad, whatever it might be. Emotions come along with the territory. It's part of being people. So for us to not talk about it, it's crazy. So we're gonna just kind of uncover a couple of situations that kind of maybe get us emotionally involved. Talk a little bit about why that happens and what we can do about it. And then we're gonna get into some vocabulary and tone so that you guys can have some, concrete tools to use in a tool belt so that if this ever happens, you can kind of fall back on a bit of a habit instead of trying to figure out on the spot what to do. So we've done this in sales team and trying to identify some of the situations that we've encountered that get us emotionally involved. I had one this morning, actually, when I was telling a story about trying to work with a company that won't work with us and gets me really emotionally involved because we're trying to give it to them for free. And they have it's a sports organization. Their seats are never sold out. And we wanted to put a highlight reel for the sports organization on all of our TVs for free, which is a value of say $1,000 a month for 6 months, so $6,000, just so we can have good content on our televisions of this sports team. I was like, no, we don't need that. No, okay, you're frustrating, right? So I'm emotionally involved. 6 years ago, I was a lot more emotionally involved about that situation than I am today, thank God. But it was really frustrating, right? Paul was not here, but I came back to the office, and the office back then I think actually was my apartment, and I just vented and ranted and swore. I was like, what the? I can't believe these guys are so irresponsible. It just really got me ramped up, and I was like, okay, well, why did it get me so emotionally involved? What was it about that situation that got me so angry or frustrated? And for me, it's just this, it just seems like, there's an obligation for this other person to be able to take on these opportunities, and for them not to do it, it's like a disservice to the organization they're in. But I sat there getting all flustered about trying to get this person to see the light when really I just need to go take that energy and focus it positively on the people that would love our stuff and then engage with them, because then we get organizations all over the place. If you look at our reviews in the last 3 weeks, they've just, we got 5-star reviews from 27 clients, and it's going to keep counting. And not take my energy, put it towards this negative situation, put it towards this positive situation. So then I realized, okay, this is my own trash about my standards. So I got standards about utilizing opportunities, but I turned them into expectations. So I put that on another human without them knowing about it. And then they didn't live up to my standards or expectations, and I got all angry about it. What I realized is that it's my stuff, it's my trash, that's me. It's not his issue, it's my issue. So I was like, okay, well, that's something I'm just not gonna get flustered about anymore. I'm just gonna go focus my attention on where I wanna focus my attention. So it was neat because I started to unravel a little bit about why I was getting emotionally involved. And I realized that I didn't want that to happen, so then I decided not to do it anymore. So that's one situation where I was emotionally involved. I was hoping we could break off into groups of 3 or 4, 4, actually groups of 4 would be great. 2 minutes, 3 minutes, we'll do a quick little brainstorm on situations that you've encountered at work, maybe at home, maybe on a bus, I don't care. That got you emotionally involved, whether it's frustrated, maybe even super happy. Happy we're probably not, we're too worried about, but frustrated, disappointed, sad, that kind of stuff. So if you want to just do 4, and then you guys are 4, and then you guys are 4. Take 2-3 minutes and discuss some of the situations we might have encountered in the last 6 months or a year that got us emotionally involved. Different things. I think Trish, you got one that I have. It was called mise en place. When you're in a restaurant, everything has its place, and when things aren't in its place, I go batty. You're already walking back there, doing with nothing in your hands. My standard, place as an expectation on others equals my stress. Anyway, anything else that popped out? If you boil down, I heard a couple of people telling stories about certain situations, but then did you get to the root of, what is it about that situation that made you frustrated? Or emotionally involved anyway? Anybody?
Yeah, sure, I have one. Sometimes when clients ask me questions, and I know it's just because they don't understand what I'm doing in AdWords, they don't understand AdWords, I feel like they are are questioning my strategy kind of, so then it gets me emotionally involved. Even
Right,
though I
okay.
know that they just don't understand.
So they question the approach.
Yeah.
I actually had that again this morning. I had a call with a client that said, you know, I sent out this email and I got this negative feedback. It's like a car salesman, used car salesman. Retail people do that, not business people do that. And I was like, and I was like, okay, cool. So the guy gave you feedback. He's a marketing company. He owns a marketing company. They're like, no, he's in healthcare. I was like, interesting. Okay, so you paid us money to do stuff that we recommended, and now you're listening to a guy in healthcare. Awesome. Question the approach slash ability.
Yeah.
Cool.
I got one. When I'm in a content session and the client goes really off the rails, tangential with what they're talking about, and I know that the root of that is like I'm coming into the meeting with an agenda of what I want to talk about, what I want to get out of it, and that maybe that's not the same as what they want to talk about.
So they get off track,
Yeah, they got off track basically.
and you're like, what? We're here to get work done. Why are you telling me about your sister's husband right now? It's got nothing to do with this. They get off track. Okay. Yeah.
I think it's pretty frustrating when you're given a task but not given clear instructions, and then you're penalized later for it for not doing it the way that they had wanted you to do it.
Okay, do this. I trust you. This is garbage. Like, wait. You said you trust. What? This happened. So a little direction and then criticism. Okay. Anything else?
I had one, I don't know if it's articulated properly, but like when clients question, I guess maybe it ties into that, but like either they don't see the value or they won't like give us a chance to correct the problem that's happened.
So they question value, which is a little bit different than maybe the approach.
Yeah, yeah.
They're just talking.
Yeah, and they don't really give a chance to like fix the problem.
Right. Okay. Anything else?
I was going to say yours because that was spot on to what I was thinking.
Which one?
The outside of the scope.
Yeah, when people ask, just keep on asking for more and more and more. I think that really comes down to setting clear boundaries, but I've not mastered that by any means.
Okay. But sorry, when they ask for more and more and more, like, can I have
Like
some more
outside of
sugar? Can I have some more sugar? Can I have no more sugar? More sugar? No, that's not what you mean.
When they ask for more work.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So requests above and beyond.
And I think this might be come from the same spot as this, but I think for me, one of my biggest like button pushes for me is when people don't, or when I feel people don't respect my time. So if somebody books me into a meeting without asking me, and like I have to rejig stuff, or somebody books me into something, or we had a situation last week where Bethany had a crazy week at work. She had so much stuff to do, and she committed to babysitting for our friends so they could go to their babysitter's mom's funeral. And then I got frustrated because I was like, and this is just me being real, like I shouldn't have been frustrated with it, but I was like, well, now I have to go over there and babysit so you can do your work. And then it totally ended up being like nothing, like their kids were in bed, we just sat there and worked anyway. But I got so frustrated about it because it comes from that place. So I know that's not healthy because like my wife is carrying my child, she's working as a full-time teacher, right?
Good point.
I'm good to go.
Anything else?
I don't know. It's like when somebody gives you a change, well for us, a change, and then they change their change.
Ah,
And
right.
it's just like, what? Like I did exactly what you said, and now you're changing your mind, I guess.
Yeah, you said you want to do this, and then I did it, and then while I was doing it, you said, no, I want to do this.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Like, or ask why did you do that?
Right.
You're like, well, you can't be rude and say you told me to do that. So.
Okay, good. This is good. Anything else?
When people have pain but they don't act on it and then complain after the fact.
So I don't understand.
So it could be something where someone identifies, I think it's a lot like that sports organization that you were talking about, but yet they have pain. Is, you know, I'm losing X amount of money, this is what's happening, this is the situation. You're able to fix it, but then they're like, nah, I just don't.
Right. Okay. And then I think when it was at the Canadian Water Conditioning story, so, and there was the blaming too, right?
Yeah,
So they complain and blame and complain.
yeah.
Those are my favorite people. I find when people are blaming others and complaining to me, I just want to talk to them for hours. That's just,
I get the same way.
yeah, yeah. I've actually, I was talking to a guy actually who hosts one of our TVs, and he was talking about how bad the economy is and like how bad this beer price is and all this kind of stuff. I was like, hey Bob, yeah, have a good one. Like,
It was Bob.
yeah, it was the Bob you know well. I just couldn't hack it.
I knew it was Bob the second.
Isn't that funny? Anything else? Maybe one or two.
I
Good.
think there was
Oh.
on here, the TVs don't work, or TV advertising doesn't work.
And still coming back to questioning the value.
Yeah.
No ways to
Yeah.
fix it.
Yeah.
Questioning the approach or ability. Cool. Alex?
The one star and I had was when like expectations aren't communicated clearly, and then the end result is like, oh, you didn't give me what I wanted. You're like, you didn't tell me properly what you wanted.
Oh, that's a good one. That's really, and it's interesting the vocabulary you used in explaining that situation. Unclear expectations, and I'm just gonna put blame game because that's what that was. You didn't give me what you want. You didn't tell me what you want. You didn't do that. That's neat, and that's the Cartman triangle right there. Persecutor victim.
I got another one. I don't like when people speak to me in a way that I don't like. People are angry with me or rushing me or whatever. If it puts me off, or if it isn't the way that I feel like I would speak to them, I get put off by it. And I know that I get better at that.
Negative tone.
Negative tone, or maybe even confusing other tones for negative tone. Sometimes I think I confuse direct tone for negative tone.
But either way, it's a perceived negative tone,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, okay, cool. Good. So did everybody, did anybody here not have a frustrating situation in the last 12 months? So everybody's had a frustrating.
Oh, I hate that person.
Teach us.
Secret.
Okay, good. So then I brought a piece of paper and pens out because I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to share this in a group environment. So I wanted to have you guys write it down. You could pick one of these if it is relevant to you. If you have your own that you haven't necessarily communicated, totally cool. But the next question here is why does that get you emotionally involved? And if you have a hard time figuring that out, you could answer, well, what emotion is it? First, and then why am I getting emotionally involved by that? And so I got little pens here. Super important part of the exercise is to actually write it down.
At fault for creating this communication breakdown. If that makes sense.
Sure, but why do you get emotionally involved by it?
Well, because I have this standard, and I feel like the other person's not
Living up to it.
living up to it. Yeah.
Okay, and so then what kind of things go on? What do you say to yourself?
Well, I'm like, why didn't they do that? Like, it's so easy to just communicate this way. Like,
Yeah.
Just be clear about like what you mean. And
Don't
then
be
why-
stupid.
Yeah.
Stop being stupid. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's cool. It's all good. It's all good. And this is supernatural stuff, right? Anybody else? Mike, you want to go for it?
Just number 5, the request beyond the scope.
Mm-hmm.
Because usually you have like a set amount of time that you go to do something, and then so you've done it, you sent it off, and then you get all these changes back, and you're like, well, now I have to rejig everything in my schedule to accommodate this person because I feel rushed because they were slated first, and now like I can't slate them behind all my other stuff.
And what emotion do you get?
Stress.
Stress? So just like, God, how am I going to handle this? And why is that?
It's a stressful thing to
I know,
happen.
but why is it stressing you out?
Because then other work gets pushed back, and things are starting to pile up.
Okay, and then there's just this mountain that's kind of endless and you can't get over it.
Exactly.
Okay, cool. Becomes overwhelming. Yeah. That's not fun. Yeah, that's cool.
I have the same one, but I've got I think a bit of a different take on why it frustrates me. I feel like people don't value my time. They don't understand the work. They're saying, well, just do that, just do that, just do that. I think it's easy. And then I also get frustrated because I feel like somebody didn't explain it. Someone other than me, obviously, didn't explain the scope of the project to them perfectly.
Hmm. And why does that get you emotionally involved?
I think it all comes down to I get frustrated when people don't value my time.
And why is that? This is not an easy always answer.
I think it's because then it means I have to like go above and beyond like what I even expect of myself to make them happy.
Okay,
I don't
cool.
always want
And
that.
is it fair to say that you would never do that to someone else?
Yeah.
Okay, good. You had one, Trish?
I was gonna say, going back to standards, like I have high standards for myself, so when people don't kind of meet them, or if I see them doing something, I'm just like, why don't you just do it?
Ah.
Yeah, so I guess it's kind of like me wasting my time, because obviously if they have lower standards for themselves, that's not my problem, that's their life. So I just kind of need to focus on my own standards and just, yeah.
Great takeaway. Anything else?
For changes on changes, kind of to go with standards, I just I hate being indecisive. So even if I do make a decision and it's a wrong decision, I just stick with it. And when other people don't do that, like when they make changes on their own changes, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
Why are you doing this? Why are
Okay,
you changing?
good.
And then it piles up.
Great. This is all really good stuff. If you can see there's a pattern happening. Anybody else got one? If we
I
can-
did question the approachability, and I said it just makes me feel like the client doesn't trust me or like my judgment.
And if you were to work with someone like us, you would probably instill that trust. Like, have you ever hired a contractor or been a part of anything like that? I don't know, just for me, I would never micromanage a professional in another field. Like if someone, what's that? Yeah, unless you had to, in which case you would break up with that person and move on. I feel like that happened recently.
Open wound.
Yeah. Salt in wound. Yeah, like our accountants, if they audit our books, I don't go back and say, okay, how much time did you spend auditing our books and what parts? And I'm going to go audit the books to make sure you did it. Like I would just never do that, right? So then when they do that to us, it's like, why did you even bother paying us to start with, right? Interesting though, right? Same issue. Anything else?
Mine was when somebody like questions the value, and if there is a problem, they don't let us fix it, because I think that we have like an amazing team that does like best practice work, and I know that we could do, like you could fix the problem, and that they would be best suited to like work with us, because we're the best.
Yeah.
And it really irritates me when we don't get a chance to like do that.
And from my experience, you give people chances. Like that contractor story, you gave them a couple chances and it just didn't get around, right?
Yeah.
So, standards versus expectations is the common denominator in everything that we've just shared with each other, which is really interesting. We have standards that we place on other people. And when we do that and they don't stand up to them, we get stressed out by it because they're not acting in accordance to the way we perceive the world's supposed to work. That's it. That's where stress comes from. It's the difference between standards and expectations. So what we got to do is we got to like separate these two and realize that our standards are our own, and then it's not fair to hold somebody to those expectations unless we agree to it. So when the last time someone made changes on changes and you told them they weren't allowed to do that, how did they react?
They were like, okay, like once I said that, like this is the last change. Is there anything else you want to change? And they're like, no, this is the last change, and then there was no change.
Oh, great. So you created an expectation and they agreed to it.
Yeah,
And then you're good. And then you weren't stressed out anymore.
exactly.
Awesome. And when you guys told people that they can't make any more changes to the website because it's beyond the scope, how did they react to that?
Pretty well, because we taught them how to make their own changes usually.
Great. So you created expectations, you agreed to it, and then they were happy. And you were happy. Awesome. That's good stuff. So there's this common denominator around creating expectations. And it's interesting because like 3 years ago, we did this exercise of what it would mean to be leaders in local marketing across Canada. And we said we would, what do we need to be experts in order to be leaders? And we said creating expectations, managing expectations was a huge piece of something that we needed to be ninjas at in order to be able to make it great. So one of the things that's happening here, and it's this saying you might have caught wind of before, but you can't get mad at somebody for doing something you didn't tell them they couldn't do. I used to get frustrated all the time when we talk to people about, okay, at the end of this meeting, we're either going to say no or we're going to say yes. Are you okay with that? Yep, perfect. We get to the end, they say, I'm going to think it over. And I'm like, well, we just said yes or no. We didn't say. Then I realized I didn't tell them they couldn't say think it over. I didn't say that to them. So at the beginning of this, when I was struggling with it, I would tell them, think it over at the end of this meeting is not okay. Are you okay with that? It's either going to be yes, there's next steps, no, we're done, no think it overs. Some people would struggle with it, but then they'd agree to it. And I could say even a yes next step means we'll touch base in 2 days. That's still a yes. It means that we're considering it for whatever reason. It doesn't mean that we're thinking it over, but it's defined, right? And then they started doing it, and everybody's like, okay, that's cool. No more think it overs. Because I told them that they couldn't do that, and then they agreed with me. They agreed with me. So it was really good. So standards versus expectations. We have to separate the two and realize that when someone's not living up to our standards, and we haven't talked to them about it or agreed on it, we're going to start getting stressed. Super important that around here, when we're talking to a client, and they say, you know, I really don't know about this, and we're going to get into vocabulary and tone and how to manage this stuff. We say, okay, I'm getting the impression that you don't trust this. You don't trust me right now. Is that the case? Well, no, that's not the case. Okay, well then what is it? Help me understand. And that vocabulary is really intentional, and it's what we're going to use, and we're going to talk about service mindset, and we're going to do a lot more discussions and exercises around the idea of world-class service experiences. But at the end of the day, we ought to take ownership on that separation between standards and expectations. We're the ones managing the relationship. They're our clients and our suppliers, and it's interesting because I used to have frustrating experiences with suppliers because they wouldn't manage us as clients the way we manage our clients. I was like, God damn it, I gotta manage every single relationship in my life. Yeah, that's the truth. Like, seriously. There was a person that said, and it was Darren Hardy, but he was talking about a marriage counselor. And they were in a big group session, so there's a whole bunch of couples that are all married, and they're at this counseling session, I think for like newlyweds. And they're like, okay, in a husband and wife relationship, what percentage does each person have to give to the relationship? Any ideas? If you've heard the story, please don't answer. Any ideas though? If you're in a relationship, husband and wife, as a percentage, what do you have to give to the relationship? Great, Mike, that's awesome. 100%. You have to always give 100% and expect nothing. And then when we do that, we'll create a great relationship. We need to do that with our clients all the time. And to your point, which is really cool, we got your back. We can make it better. We're here to help you. We're here to help manage expectations. We've done this 100 times. We understand that there's going to be some questions. You might have some doubts as we go through this. I want to talk about it right now. You might get into this website project and you might think, oh, now that we're in it, let's add this, add this, add this. That's not okay. Are you okay with agreeing to that idea up front right now? So this is the scope. We're going to sign off on it. You're happy. This is what's going to get finished. And then afterwards, we can discuss anything else. Good with that? Now we're managing expectations and we're getting them to agree to it. And we're creating standards for the two of us as opposed to having standards in our own minds and placing them on others without telling them. Fair? So the whole thing needs to be done with service mentality. So we can't say to somebody, be like, no, this is it. You're done. This is the end of the website. No more changes. No more and then. Tone has a big part in the way we communicate, right? And our vocabulary needs to match our tone and our body language. So we need to be, hey, we get this. You haven't built 100 websites like we have. It's not unusual to think, okay, we need to add, just this. This is in the situation where we haven't created clear expectations, and now we have to because it's getting out of hand. There's a couple of things that's really good for us to go live with now and then make changes later because it's good for Google and whatever. Are you okay with that? Getting people to agree to the expectations, super important. But let's pretend for a moment that we haven't set the expectations up front. So what kind of tools can we use in our tool belt when things do go off the rails? Maybe in your situation, like you mentioned in a content session, someone's talking about their sister's husband, like who cares, why are you talking about that? Maybe it's scope creep, whatever. So there's a couple of things we want to do. The first one is, I'm getting the impression. What's interesting about this? So someone says, I want to see a detailed outline of all the different things you've done to manage my AdWords account. Okay? I'm getting the impression that you don't trust me. Is that fair? What you do in that sense is you're taking ownership. I'm getting the impression you don't trust me. Is that fair? So it's, and then you're verifying and validating. So you're not stepping on anybody's toes, and it's my issue. Maybe I'm wrong, but I'm getting the impression that you don't trust me. Is that fair? No, it's not that. Okay, then help me understand, which is the next piece. Help me understand. Whatever you want to say afterwards. A couple more pieces that we want to use here. When someone's like, TVs don't work. I hear you. People want to be heard. They need to be validated. Very concrete and deliberate vocabulary. It's not, I understand what you're saying, because I don't yet. I hear you. Tell me more. Can you be specific? Help me understand. All these things are not accusatory. You're not accusing anybody of anything. You're not defending yourself. You're not justifying. You're implementing the #1 cultural value that we all voted on a couple months ago for Intrigue Media. And if somebody might help me out, and what is that?
Listen first and seek to understand.
Bam! So true. Listen first, seek to understand. What's interesting is if you use these tools, you can find that your emotional involvement will diminish over time. You can just, tell me more. Help me understand. I hear you. But it gives you these like breaks so that you don't have to just not speak or boil up or respond or react, actually reacting to a situation. So I don't know if you guys have ever heard the difference between reacting and responding. In the clinical medical world, if you react to medicine, it's a horrible thing. It's not good to react to medicine. You want the patient to respond to the medicine that they're getting. And all too often, when we get emotionally involved, we start reacting to things. But with this type of approach and being conscious about the vocabulary we're using, we can start to respond to things. I'm getting the impression this is happening. Is that fair? Can you tell me more? Okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't understand. Can you help me understand? All these type of vocabulary is just like, makes people totally deflate. It gets them to completely open up, and you start to get more clarity. When you get more clarity and you understand the situation, you can start to make decisions on how to deal with it. There's a ton more we can get into, but I wanted to give everybody just kind of the surface. One of the things that was really cool about this is that, 8 out of 9 is standards versus expectations. So I just want everybody to be conscious of the fact that these are all standards that we've set for ourselves that people aren't living by. So we've placed our standards and their expectations. We need to separate the two. You can't get mad at somebody for doing something you didn't tell them they couldn't do. So we need to create expectations and agree upon them so that we have standards together. And then there's 4 little tools in the toolbox to help you when you do get into an emotional situation. I find this the most helpful with my mom, because she's sometimes frustrating for me. I love her to death. Sometimes I just don't understand. So that's emotional conversation. Thank you. Intrigue Media. Get noticed, get found.